Okay, in this example, I'm going to show you guys how to do the building design project using PIXLR, since PIXLR doesn't have the rulers design like Photoshop does. So again, I just opened up a new document, and to start drawing, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer, and I'm going to label this one vanishing points. Now I have a layer called vanishing points, and I'm going to draw my line on. So I'm going to use a blue line just so you guys can see the difference here. And to make a straight line tool, I'm just going to click on the shapes tool here. And then up on top, it gives me an option to use some different shapes. So I'm going to click on the line tool. And I'm going to start drawing a line. Notice how it pins the starting point. If I hold shift as I move it, it will keep that line perfectly vertical and straight across. Then what I'm going to do is use my brush tool. And I'm just going to make two dots, one on each side. And that's going to be my vanishing points where I'm going to draw my building to. So I have a dot on the left and a dot on the right. I'm going to make another new layer, and I'm going to call this layer building outline. And then I'm going to use a black so we can see the difference between our guidelines. And I'm going to use that same line tool. So click on the shape tool, make sure I'm on line. I'm going to start drawing down, and if I hold shift, it'll stay vertical. Then from the top of this line, I'm going to go off to the vanishing point on the left. From the bottom, I'm going to do the same. And I'm going to use those lines and go off to the vanishing point on the right as well, so I can get the general shape of my building. Then I need to draw some vertical lines of where my building's going to start and end. Control Z will undo if you accidentally keep holding shift down. It'll draw a line from point A to point Z. So now I have the general shape of my building. I can use my eraser tool, and I'm just going to erase out these lines because I don't need them anymore. And the idea is that once I get my color and my textures put in, that I'll be able to just hide the outline layer. So now that I have my building, I'm going to make another new layer. I'm going to make another empty layer. And I'm going to call this one left wall color. And then to fill in my left wall color, I'm going to use the box tool. I'm going to make a box, and I always like to fill everything in with gradients. It makes things look more realistic. Let's make our building, let's go purple. So I'm going to use a light color purple, and then I'm going to choose a darker value of purple. So I have light to dark. Use my gradient tool, and I'm going to use a linear gradient so it goes straight across. And I'm just going to go straight across from left to right. Once I get that color put in, I'm going to go to Edit, Free Distort. And then I'm going to go ahead and match up my color with the shape of my building. Make sure I cover up my lines. Once I get that in there, I can just click Apply, and it'll apply that transformation. I'm going to go ahead and make another new layer, and this one I'm going to call right wall color. And I'm going to do the same thing to the right side now, where I am making a box. You're going to want to make sure you put it on a new layer, because if you don't put it on a new layer and you have it on the same layer as your outline, it will cover up those lines. And then when you go to Edit and Free Distort, those lines will be gone because it'll essentially just paint over the top of them. But since I have it on a separate layer, those lines are hidden behind my shape. So now when I get this put in, I'm just going to make sure it covers up all lines again. I'm going to click Apply. And now you'll see I have a left and right wall color. So essentially I can be able just to take my building outline and just hide. Notice how it has those little tails kind of sticking out. If I just hide that outline, I don't need it anymore. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate a texture over the top. So in order to put the texture in, I'm just going to go to the internet, and I'm going to type in brick pattern. And choose a brick pattern that I'm going to fill in my wall with. Let's click this one. This one looks like it could be a good one. It has some watermarks, so maybe I'll check a different one. Let's do this one here. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go back into my PIXLR, and whenever you paste a new document, it automatically puts it on a new layer for me. Now notice that this is really big, so I'm just going to need to free transform it to kind of fit the shape I need before I distort. Just makes it a little easier. And if I'm going to do brick on both sides, one thing I might want to do is I might want to duplicate this layer first before I transform it. So I'm just going to make sure I'm selected on that layer and go to Layer and Duplicate Layer. And now I have a copy of it. You'll see there's two of them over here, and I can just move this over to the side. Now with this layer, I'm going to go to Edit, Free Distort, and I'm going to stretch this out to fit the shape of my building. So it looks something like this. And then now, once I set my transformation, I want to be able to see that purple color through. So within the layer itself, if I right click on it, there's a blending mode option. If I change my blending mode to multiply, what it'll do is it'll take out all the light values and it'll keep the darker ones. So you can still see that whole brick pattern in there. Then I'm going to go back to this layer on my right side, and I'm going to go to Edit, Free Distort again. And I'm going to line these bricks up now to match this side of the building. And once I get that side put in, I can apply my transformation. Then I want to see those purple colors through again. So I'm going to right click, change my blending mode to multiply. And now you have a purple building that has brick pattern on it. So that is how you get started with 2-point perspective.